family, it's Robin over at Sanctuary Holistic Kitchen. I am going to show you how to infuse some honey today. So I'm adding little tiny short videos to keep you entertained and teach you some skills with some ingredients that you might already have at home. So hopefully you don't even have to go out to the store or order groceries at home. You already have the things around. So today we're doing infused honeys. We're going to do two different ones. The first one we're doing is inspired by the Thieves legend. So if you haven't heard about the Thieves legend, there is a very famous essential oil company that has trademarked the name Thieves for their essential oil. But the story goes back to the bubonic plague. During the bubonic plague, beggars and thieves would stuff their pockets full of spices and herbs, and then they would go and steal from the dead bodies. They would take their gold teeth and their jewelry and anything else that was lying around, and they never got sick. And a lot of people think that those herbs and spices and things that were with them have antibacterial and antiviral properties to them, and that kept them from getting the plague. And we've learned that a lot of the ingredients we're going to use today do have those properties. They are antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. And so we're going to do two different honeys. We're going to start with the first one, which is the Thieves honey. And so in my jar, I'm just taking a plain old mason jar, I'm going to throw in a little bit of lemon peel. We're going to do some cinnamon sticks. I have some rosemary that was growing outside, and what I did is I washed it really well, I rolled it up, and then I smushed it around to try and bruise it and release some of those essential oils that are in there, and I'm going to add that in. And then I have some whole spices. You can use whole or ground. And so I have some cloves and some allspice, and I'm going to add those in there too. And so depending on the recipe that you find online when you're researching the Thieves legend, sometimes they say it's rosemary and eucalyptus, sometimes it's thyme and eucalyptus. You can pretty much make this custom to whatever you have at home. So if you have rosemary, use rosemary. If you have thyme, use thyme. If you have other herbs that you want to add in there, sage might be nice. That would be really good too. So we have all of our dry ingredients in here. This is the easiest thing. You take honey, hopefully raw honey. Okay, we don't want to use the pasteurized stuff. So we're going to get some local raw honey, and we're going to cover all of our ingredients with the honey. And we're going to go right up into the top. And then we're going to put a lid on this, and we're going to sit it in maybe a warm window, maybe on top of your fridge where you're going to see it, where it gets a little bit of residual heat from the fridge. And we're going to give it a shake every day because the spices will start to float up to the top. And if you needed it, you could start taking from this a little spoonful at a time the very next day. But the longer it sits, the more the honey is going to extract out all of those really healthful properties from the spices, the herbs, and the lemon peel, and the flavor is going to get more intense. You can use this in your tea or coffee. You can drizzle it on food. You can eat it by the spoonful. Super delicious. So I would suggest that after a week, 2 weeks even better, you're going to strain this out through a fine mesh strainer into another mason jar and just let it sit there upside down for about an hour or so, and then all the honey will drip down into the new jar, and you have this really delicious antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal infused honey with all of those yummy spices. So we're going to sit that one to the side. Our second one that we're going to do is actually going to be a cough and respiratory infused honey. And so we're going to take another clean mason jar. This time we're going to use whole lemons. So we're just going to slice it up, leave the peeling on. I do have an organic lemon, so that would be best so that you're not putting any pesticides or any gross stuff into your honey. And so we're going to take a few slices depending on the size of your jar. We're going to add those in there. I have some garlic cloves, which I'm going to smash and take the paper off of. And then I'm going to give them a rough chop. The more surface area to something for an infusion, the stronger the infusion will be. So the more you chop it up, the more garlic goodness will go in there. And so we're going to put in one. Let's put in another big clove, make it extra garlicky. So garlic has lots of antibacterial properties to it. And so we're going to add that in there with our lemon slices. And then we're going to take some thyme Again, I picked some from the garden. I washed it and I'm gonna bruise it. So thyme is a great cough remedy. We actually add it into the cough syrup that we make here at the shop. And I'm also gonna add some rosemary in there too. So it's gonna have a lot of those antiviral properties. It adds a nice flavor, and it's also great for respiratory, bronchial, sinus health. Yeah, it's super aromatic. So in here, we have lemons, garlic, thyme, and rosemary. Now, you could add in so many other things. We could add in turmeric. We could add in hot chilies. That would be super delicious. I have a little bit of ginger here. I might actually cut some of that up and add to my mix. And I'll just slice it very thin and add it in. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna take this jar. I'm gonna cover all of the ingredients with honey. I'm gonna use my spoon to loosen it up a little bit. It looks like we have a big air pocket in the bottom. So get that honey to go down in there. There we go. And then I'm gonna top it off. And again, we're gonna put this in a warm place. Let it sit. Be great if you let it sit for a week. But if you needed it right away, you could take spoons off the top the very next day, just sit it overnight. And then you have these delicious infused honeys. So this is a fun project for kiddos. You can add all sorts of things in there. You can change the color of the honey by adding things like hibiscus to it, which makes it really pink and beautiful. So that might be fun for kids to see what sort of ingredients change it. If you have some dried elderberries around, you can add that in there. The drier the ingredients, the longer you want to let it sit, so it's really drawing out those medicinal properties from the ingredients. The fresher the ingredients, the faster you're going to taste and feel the results of those ingredients. So I hope this inspires you to make some honey infusions at home, and we will see you next time. Happy crafting. I miss you.